Blandino, the head of officiating for the XFL. How's it going, Dean?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Oh man, we're great. We're happy that there's some
good.
XFL football possibly in the foreseeable future, and we're getting pretty geared up about everything, man. So we're super excited to have you on, and yeah, man, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for stopping by.
Obviously it's been interesting times, and it's good to kind of catch up, and hopefully, like you said, hopefully we can get some XFL football here in the near future.
That's right. Well, Dean, we have a couple of questions for you, my man, and number one, I'll take the baton first, and then I'll pass it over to Joe, since this is his first.
That's fair.
His first on-air interview. But I want to ask you this: what rule did you want to see implemented in the XFL that wasn't? Was there any rules that were possibly nixed before the launch of the XFL, or is there something that they excluded from the initial launch of the league?
Yeah, there were a few. What was great about the process is the league, there were a lot of people involved, and they talked to a lot of people around football and fans, and when they were designing the rules. And there were a couple that we were thinking about initially, and ultimately decided not to go with. Two that I thought, would have been interesting to see how they played out would have been where not allowing offensive line to be in a 3-point stance. So it would have been all 2-point stance, more of a pass blocking posture. Ultimately, we decided against it. Would have been different, in terms of running the ball and short yardage. But it just would have been interesting to see from a player's safety perspective, would that have potentially eliminated some of those, head-to-head collisions and contact that happens in that close line play. The other one in the same area was a 1-yard neutral zone where the defense would have to be at least a yard away from the football. And again, designed to potentially reduce some of those high impact head-to-head collisions. Neither rule was implemented, but it would have been interesting to see what would have came out of those.
Definitely, because, the XFL branded itself based off of family-oriented football, and one of the main concerns that they brought to the table whenever they relaunched this league was decreasing potential safety hazards, such as, the kickoffs that the NFL uses quite often, or they use it now. And for me, what I love to see was the fact that they weren't as engaged once the ball was kicked off. They had some space, and it seemed like it was a line of scrimmage play. So for them not to use this rule, the 1-yard neutral zone, that's pretty interesting, especially since the XFL did pride itself on safety as a whole. So yeah, that would have been a great rule to see. Also, why do you think that the NFL hasn't implemented a sky judge like the one that the XFL used with the cool Xbox controller?
Yeah, I think the NFL is seriously considering that, and they actually wanted to do an experiment in the preseason this year. Unfortunately, we're not getting a preseason because of COVID. So I think you're going to see some form of a sky judge in the NFL in the near future, and they're going to study it and figure out what the sky judge can look at. But we really felt that it made a lot of sense having the person upstairs with the access to the video that could help the officials get plays right, because the game is so fast and it happens very quickly, and it's tough to officiate in some situations. So if you can have the video to help you get some of those game-changing calls right, we felt that was a good thing, and I think the NFL will move in that direction.
Okay, good to hear, especially since the NFL is talking about, getting a little bit safer out here with all these dangerous head-on collisions. Joe, what you got for Mr. Blandino?
Yeah, Dean, I know you worked with replay, back in the day. And so my question for you is, is there any, call, any replay decision that stands out in your mind that, might have been controversial, anything that, any what I'm talking about, anything that stands out in your mind. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely, obviously I'll always be connected with the Dez Bryant play against the Packers. And that was, you were kind of, it was on the tip of your tongue. You wanted to bring it up, but I'll bring it up for you. Certainly controversial. At the time, though, it really wasn't a difficult call to make based on the rule at the time. And we knew it was going to be controversial. We knew, obviously, it's a big play in that game, a playoff game. And ultimately, the rule was tweaked to make a play like that a catch. But at the time, it was just, other than being controversial, it wasn't that difficult a call to make. There were others that were probably tougher calls to make. And replay, sometimes there's judgment, especially when you're dealing with catch, no catch. Even goes back to like the Calvin Johnson play against the Bears. I thought that one was probably even tougher. That one, to me, was probably more of a catch under the old rule than the Dez play. But that Dez play definitely is one that people, especially Cowboys fans, they don't let me forget that one.
Yeah, I'm still having nightmares, Dean. So I appreciate that.
Well, me, like you said, me and Joe are we are big time Cowboys fans. And when I watched that game, I can speak for myself. I was like, what? He made a football move and he fumbled the ball towards the goal line. What's up with that? Why was there so much uncertainty regarding this rule? But man, that is always going to burn us for the rest of our lives, Dean.
I know, but we've come a long way where we can all talk about it cordially and very civil, discussion.
For sure. Definitely. That's all it's about, man. It's all about being cordial and ensuring that you are professional. Let me ask you this as well, Dean. What is the status of the referees that worked in the XFL? Are some of them or any of them working in college again, or potentially the NFL? Have you heard any rumors about that?
Yeah, so all of the officials that we used in the XFL last year, they were all college officials. And they all remain college officials. Now, obviously, some conferences aren't playing in the fall, so some of those officials aren't working right now, but they were all on college conference staffs, and some are working, some aren't. Some did. There were roughly 5 to 6 of our XFL officials last year did make it to the NFL. So you'll see a couple of the XFL officials working in the NFL this fall. And the XFL was great. It was an opportunity for those officials, just like it was for the players, to get on tape and potentially get that opportunity to get to the NFL. And some of the officials did make it this season.
And that's something that's great too, because like you said, it not only offered an opportunity for the players, it offered the opportunity for officials to go back out there and do what they love, which is officiate. You got coaches, you got general managers who were able to use their skill that they developed over a long amount of time and implement that and use that and utilize it in the XFL. So that's always a great thing. Now, this is my final question. I know Joe has something, but how much of an adjustment, because I was just wondering, because I watched these college football games over the weekend, but how much of an adjustment will it be for these referees to use the electronic whistles? I don't know, how does that work? That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a different deal. And so the electronic whistle, obviously this is a health and safety thing because they don't want officials, your normal whistle, like you're bringing it to your mouth, you're blowing the whistle, particles are going into the air. So they wanted to go away from that. The electronic whistle, so the concept is it's basically, it's a button that you press and it sounds a very similar to what a traditional whistle would sound like. I think some of the concerns is, if you're carrying it in your hand and you accidentally press the button, now a whistle blows in the middle of the play. So I think most officials will keep it on their belt, and then when the play is over, they'll reach for it and press the button, and the whistle will sound. It's definitely going to be an adjustment. We've seen it. We've had some college games already, and there's definitely been some growing pains. And we'll certainly, starting with Thursday night with the Chiefs and the Texans, we're going to see the NFL officials using it. And again, this is a different environment, and everybody has to adjust because obviously the health and safety is the most important point.
Most definitely with unprecedented times.
So the concept is it's basically, it's a button that you press and it sounds a very similar to what a traditional
we got
whistle
double
would
the
sound.
Like.
I think some of the concerns.
Joe, did you hit something, man?
No.
It's playing on double the sound.
Button,
I don't know what's going on with that dude.
the health and safety.
It must feel weird to hear you say that whole thing over again.
It's basically
Dean, Joe, you got anything left for Dean?
He answered my question about the Dez thing. I just wanted to hear from your words, what
Joe,
you thought
you
about
hit
that.
something
And you're
else?
right, it wasn't the catch at the time. But I do know that, as times change and the rules change, now it would have been a catch. But, it's all in the past. We move on. We live and learn.
We've got to move on. We've got to move on.
You got to move on.
And, but I appreciate the Cowboy fans are passionate. That's for sure. I appreciate that. No doubt.
We're going to the Super Bowl this year. It's already decided.
All right. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Dean, I do want to ask you, what likelihood do you feel like we'll get the XFL back potentially in 2021, or could it potentially be a later date? I just want to ask you that because, I know you have some relationships with some people. If you have some information you can share, that's cool. If not, that's completely fine as well.
Yeah, I don't know much at this point. I'm hoping that we can get XFL football in the spring in 2021. I'd love to be involved. But I think at this point, I think they're still working through the purchase and getting everything done. And I think then, you can't ask for a better group of people. If you're talking about, Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia and this group, I'm excited about the potential. And, I don't know from a timing perspective if spring 2021 is too soon. We'll see. But I know one thing, we're going to see the XFL again, and I'm excited for that, and I would love to be a part of it.
Hey, that makes us all happy over here in the XFL community. Well, Dean, I just want to thank you personally for coming on the show, man. It's a true honor to speak with you. Me and Joe are big fans of your work.
Yeah.
Without the Dez Bryant catch thing. No, I'm kidding. But we're true fans of your work, and we're hoping that we see you whenever the XFL does return.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I'd love to come back and join the show somewhere down the line.
For sure. Hopefully less technical difficulties next time.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I appreciate it, Dean. We have a good one, man, and stay safe out there.
All right, you too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Dean.